Hello there guys, and welcome to another edition of Star Wars Comics, where we continue on with the aftermath of Maul escaping from Palpatine's prison and one way or another managing to imprison both Dooku and Grievous. At this moment he was on top of the galaxy. Maul's plans were finally coming to the forefront. He didn't count that Sidious had two major resources in his favor. While Maul somewhat defeated the Separatists, now the Republic was about to come after him. Windu is surprised that it was Darth Maul. So it seemed, said Sidious, confirmed by Palpatine himself, which said that the citizens who survived the ordeal on Ord Mantell had identified Count Dooku there as fighting with a red-skinned Force wielder. This had to be dealt with by any means. In fact, it was encouraged by Palpatine. He said, do whatever it takes, whatever resource you require. After all, this was all going to play in his favor. This just got interesting. Windu ended the communication. He went immediately to Kenobi. Both of them were conferring as to the possibilities of what had just happened. Unfortunately, their biggest fears came true. Commander Wolf had just uncovered this Mandalorian helmet. This finally confirmed the suspicions for Windu that the alliance between Prime Minister Olmec and the underworld is still very much intact. With that, Obi Wan had to move quickly. He knew very well where the Black Sun operated. Considering this Mandalorian supply outpost, Maul could be lurking in the shadows right there. With all this in mind, Mandalore had to be saved from the Separatists. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Tipley went on to lead this investigation, and they eventually traveled to that outpost. Cut to Maul's secret base. He in fact was talking to Darth Sidious himself, who was extremely disappointed with his apprentices. Maul was boasting himself. In his mind, he was now the most superior to all of them. He had captured both Dooku and Grievous, and Sidious was helpless against this fact. The Zabrak had crushed all of Sidious's plans. Palpatine grew tired. He said, "What are your demands?" But Maul insisted that these demands are from Mother Talzin. Angrily, Maul reminded Palpatine of his failure to his apprentice, more especially him. In the end, he will discard both of them as he did Maul. Without flinching, Palpatine said, "Kill them both. Since they have appeared to be so weak, I have no more use of them." Maul ignited his darksaber. "So be it," he said to Palpatine. In the end, he ended communications with Palpatine and ordered one of the guards to take this monstrosity, meaning Grievous, to the brig. He and Count Dooku had much to discuss. Now we see the Republic fleet slowly approaching the outpost. Obi-Wan was wary. His last encounter with Maul didn't go so well. In fact, it was then that he murdered Duchess Satine right before him. However, Obi-Wan knew of his emotions all too well. In fact, he had them under control. He assured Master Tipley that his emotions were very much leveled and he will not fail her on this mission. Now it was Maul's turn. He knew all too well that he couldn't do this all by himself. It is at this moment that he offers Dooku a partnership. He had abandoned the Jedi when you understood that the Sith were gaining power, and now he suggests he does the same with the Sith. Maul was gaining much more power than Sidious himself. Dooku scoffed at the idea. He knew all too well what his master's plans were. They paled in comparisons to Maul's puny ideas. Maul still insisted. This time, they had Mother Talzin on their side. Her power, combined with their strength, will be the undoing for Sidious. She manifested herself through Maul and appeared before Dooku. While she knew that they didn't always see eye to eye, in the end, Sidious would deceive him as he deceived her. She in fact used Maul as a prime example. At first, when he saw Maul's potential, he took him from her, trained him as a Sith, but when he was no longer useful, Maul was left to die. Sidious will betray you as he betrayed us. His last hope was to join them and rule the galaxy or die here alone. Now Obi-Wan's fleet was ready. Cody had no doubt that the red-faced monster was before them. They had scanned the outpost and saw that a hidden military base was amongst the asteroids. They quickly dispatched all of their fighters. It is at this time that Maul is informed. There are Republic ships coming for them. This distraction was used by Dooku. He used the Force to click click a button which released the ray shields from Grievous's confinement. As the guards realized what was happening, Grievous jumped and crushed them right then and there. Obi-Wan was nearly there. He said to bring us as close as possible without drawing their attention. But it was already too late. They had launched their gauntlet fighters. Now a full-on battle ensued. Obi-Wan yelled that they need to get them to that hangar, one way or another. Without thinking twice, they crashed inside of the hangar just to infiltrate the base. Thankfully, they came out of the crash unscathed, but Obi-Wan was now completely sure. He felt Maul's presence. During all that time, Grievous was annihilating Maul's forces. As he did many times before, he found an escape pod, entered it, and ejected. He was gone. Now, Maul is informed that this situation is escalating. 2 Jedi have been spotted in the hangar. Dooku had to choose, allies or death. As Maul presented him his lightsaber, Dooku simply answered, "Let us go kill some Jedi together." As Maul sliced through his constraints and handed him over his legendary curved lightsaber. Obi-Wan was desperately trying to press forward, trying to reach the command center, but they instead reached him. Maul and Dooku appeared before them. Shocked, Obi-Wan sees that both of them are actually working together. At that time, help would come. Mace Windu and Aayla Secura appeared. They had had enough of Dooku. Maul was pleased. Finally, a fair fight. As Dooku unleashed a barrage of lightning, incapacitating Obi-Wan and Tipley for a second, as Maul counterattacked on Secura and blocked Windu's lightsaber. During the same time, Maul's forces were preparing their rockets. Dooku wastes no time. He pulls Master Tipley with the Force and kills the Jedi Master with no remorse. Obi-Wan cries out in anger. During this whole confusion, the troops launched a rocket at the Jedi, hitting both Secura and Windu. In fact, incapacitating them both. They were unconscious. It seemed as if the bad guys had won this round. They had done enough. It was time for them to leave. Both Maul and Dooku are escorted to a fighter. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan is pleading the clones to not let them escape. Maul simply told Kenobi to not worry. They will be seeing again each other very soon. Satisfied of the victory over the Jedi, Maul instructs them to leave. Both him and Dooku apparently now had become associates. The aftermath was a disaster. Windu together with Secura regains conscious. They have no clue what just happened. During that time, the Chancellor calls in. As it appears to Windu, both Dooku and Maul are allies. And this in fact solves a long-standing mystery within the Jedi Council, that Dooku is in fact the Sith Master they had been seeking all this time, and Maul is the apprentice. At that moment, Palpatine was both filled with anger and happiness as to how foolish the Jedi actually are. They again had fallen into the Sith trap, laying right before them. Deception, deceiving the Jedi that if things don't go to plan, this could prove disastrous for the Republic. With this tidbit, we end today's issue number 3 of the Son of Dathomir comics, and by all means, this just shows how foolish the Jedi actually were. There is no other word. I'm trying to come up with something to describe the Jedi, but they were just helpless. Palpatine had just spun such a web of lies that they had no idea what was coming. They were completely at the mercy of the Sith, and it is really tragic to see. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this comic issue, my friends, and if you did, leave a like down below and a comment down below with your thoughts. We are now slowly approaching the 4th issue of the Son of Dathomir comics, which will be the last, so I would love to know if you would like me to make that one as well. So leave your feedback down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much again for supporting the channel and stopping by. I really truly appreciate it, and with that, may the Force be with you always.